Hello, I'm Lucy Baldwin. Welcome to another episode of The Seven Living with the Planets. This episode is all about why magic sometimes doesn't work. I actually have 5 reasons that I'm going to go through on this episode. But the first thing that I want to say is that it's not because you did it wrong. Okay. So most people think that either magic isn't real or that they didn't do it right and that it's them who sort of messed up. And I want to assure you that neither of those are true. So, magic is something where you're communicating with your own unconscious. You're not going to mess it up. Okay. You're not going to do it wrong. You can get better and better at following your intuition, making really good symbols that sort of match what you're doing. You can get practice. You can, by using the same ritual container, like the same structure over and over, you might get better and better at sort of interpreting those as rituals. Um, but you're not going to do it wrong. You're not doing it wrong. There's nothing wrong with you. It's actually really normal that magic sometimes doesn't work, just like anything else doesn't work. Just like the same reason why sometimes manifestation fails, prayer fails, therapy fails. It's because on some level, you're actually more committed, probably in your unconscious, to the current reality than the one that you're trying to create. So it's your shadow. It's what is happening in your unconscious that you're not aware of. And so I'm going to talk about a few different ways that can be popping up and present for us. But, just remember magic works through your psyche. So if you have identities or beliefs or things in your unconscious, that is what is going to potentially interfere and give you different results from what you're hoping for. Your nervous system, like it just might be that, yes, you think that this is what you want, but your nervous system is like, we're not doing that. um, so we'll talk about this more. So I want to get into the reasons. Number one is that you're trying to get something that doesn't match your identity. So it's like you would have to believe yourself to be somebody else in order to get the thing you're trying to get. For example, I have a tech startup. I am the CEO of that startup. And I have been resisting getting investment in that startup because my identity would have to change. And I'm in that identity change right now. And it's very intense. I have to become a tech CEO. I have to become a person who is good at business and understands um, just there's so much like I have to shift my own identity in order for that to work for me and in order to be able to actually manifest that investment. So this is just a really clear example to me because I'm going through it right now, but it can also be something very simple, like if you have the identity of, I mean, you know, a single person, it's going to be really hard to find love, right? If you have the identity of being broke, it's going to be really hard to get out to make a lot of money or to not spend that money in in irresponsible ways. And you might find that if you have the identity of being broke, that you can make lots of money, but you can't hold on to it. And so there's an identity shift that is required in order for that magic to be able to work, right? The next one, number two, is that you're asking for something that you actually have judgment about. If you want a lot of money, but you hate rich people, that's going to totally block your ability to get a lot of money, right? If you want love, but you're not willing to be intimate and you're grossed out by couples and you hate seeing PDA, that's going to be hard for you to find that for yourself. So if you're having a lot of judgments about the people who already have the thing that you want, that's something to look at and consider. Um, and sometimes I just on that note, it's like there's actually just some grief that needs to be processed. Like I would argue that that's grief, that sort of judgment, that disconnect is um it's sadness, for the time that was lost or for not having the thing that you feel like you need. Um and so we sort of project that onto others and it can sour, right? That's where resentment comes from. But it's really about ourselves and it's always grief underneath there. Hate to say it. And fear, of course, fear of change, fear of things being different. So this leads really well into number three, which is using magic to try to bypass grief or fear or pain. So sometimes there's things that we don't want to face and we think we can like magic our way out of a situation. But the truth is that you can't hide from yourself. You can't actually use magic to make something go away that you're not facing. So, like, if you have grief, if you have had a loss, or you have big feelings that you're trying to avoid, or you think that, oh, getting that thing will make those feelings go away, and you're not thinking that, right? Nobody's actually thinking that consciously, but that's kind of the strategy. Then it's not going to work. I would recommend looking at what is what am I avoiding feeling? What am I trying to not face with this? The number 4 is you basically have an unconscious loyalty to an old story. Another way of framing this is you're comfortable. You're comfortable in the old story. You're comfortable in the way of doing things, even though it's uncomfortable, like, and maybe it sucks, but it's like there's a comfort in that discomfort, right? It's known. It can be hard to like allow for change to actually happen. It can be hard to face the discomfort of change. This is also havingness, right? This is upper limit problem. It's like we we're not ready to let go of the old story about ourselves. We're not ready to step into that discomfort of actually receiving what it is that we want because it's uncomfortable and it's new and it's different. Um, so that's another reason why magic might not be working or whatever it is that you're trying to get. And of course, I just want to say all of these things that I'm mentioning can be resolved, of course, with magic, but also shadow work. And that's why I'm really big into shadow work and doing this work of breaking down the beliefs and identities and stories that we're carrying about ourselves so that we can transform and open ourselves up to the new possibilities that are available to us that we haven't even been able to see or work with. And then number 5 is you're just not being honest with reality, right? You're not facing reality. You're not loving what is. You're trying to avoid consequences or do something that's out of truth, out of congruence, out of harmony with your actual truth. For example, a lot of us have what are called compensatory desires. So these are things that we think we want, but it's actually things that like we believe that we should want or we've been told that we should want, but they're not like our true desires. So sometimes we have things that we want because we're seeking validation for something else through achieving something. So it's like, I want to be a doctor so that I can be appreciated or so that I can feel like not a failure, so that I can like be successful in the eyes of other people. It's compensating for a lack of your own already accepting yourself, already believing you're worthy, already like loving yourself and thinking that you're successful just by virtue of the fact that you exist. Like we're all worthy by virtue of the fact that we exist. And, we all won the lottery, like just because we were born, just having even been born is a miracle. And it's so easy to get swept up in seeking validation and seeking some kind of approval or affirmation that we're worthwhile from outside things. And so that leads to us wanting things that aren't true. Thinking that we want things that we don't want because we want them because we actually want something else, right? there's a deeper desire for to feel worthy, to feel wanted, to feel loved, to feel connected, to feel successful. And so if we're seeking things that are not what we truly want, sometimes our magic won't work because it's trying to show us that that's not what we want. And that's how magic is so profound and beautiful, because it sometimes we will get those things, and then we have to realize that that wasn't what we actually wanted. Sometimes we just won't. Like, sometimes it will just be like, "No, dude, this is wrong." And so we can look at that, and I would say one of the first things to do is to think about, what do I actually want? And I have a bunch of processes that I've taught over the years for how to deal with this, but a lot of it is just like asking, why do you want the things that you think that you want? And really getting to the bottom of the true desire that's underneath all of the sort of superficial, outward oriented desires. And then, it's like, if you had that, if you felt worthy, if you felt loved, if you felt safe, if you felt secure, I mean, safety doesn't exist, but that's for another episode. If you felt that security, then what would you want? What would you really want then? And this can just kind of help us clarify and figure out what are our true desires versus the ones that have been sort of projected onto us, and that we think will give us other things that we think will make us fill the things that we're trying to fill for ourselves, and have that sense of connection and love and worth and all of that. I would say the way to figure out what's going on here is to, if you have been doing magic and it's not working, or just even if it's not like using the kind of magic that I teach, just if you've been trying to like get things in your life, you've been trying to create things or get out of a situation or get into a situation, and it hasn't been working. I would say it's one of these things is going on. Just ask yourself, who do I believe myself to be? What do I truly want? Like, investigating, like, what do I truly want? Who do I believe myself to be? What I have to change to receive the things that I'm getting? What do I think about myself if I have these things that I'm trying to get? How um, would I be able to love myself if I had achieved those things? Would I have to be a different person to have what I think that I want? These are the questions to be asking, and looking for, if you're being honest with yourself. And just remember, just doing this magic, it's not failing. It's just showing you that there's a division. There's different parts of us. We all have different parts, right? And sometimes the different parts want different things, and there's conflict and there's inner conflict, and that's totally normal. And you can work with those parts, and you can talk to them. And I just recommend, you know, please remember that all of your parts love you. All of your parts have your best interest at heart, even if you think a part is blocking you from having something. Maybe it is. Is it trying to keep you safe? Is it trying to give you something? So just be mindful of that. I'm really big into shadow work, and I have a whole course called Shadowborn, and I basically put shadow work is in like all of my programs that I teach. So if you take any of my programs, you'll for sure learn about shadow work, or at least be doing some. Thank you so much for watching this episode, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Also, I do want to let you know that I have a free community called Inner Circle where you can join. You can just click the link and join. I do a ritual every month, usually a planet. And I also host community connection calls, which are really wonderful and fun and playful. And that actually is shadow work on those calls. And you can come on and you can ask questions and just connect with other people and have a really great time. So I will see you there. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next one.